Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to come your way once again. And I would say thank you so much for your support. I cannot take your support for granted. And I know, we've all had a busy day. And I'll say I will still count on your support tonight for you to invite as many people as possible for us to listen to our mummy's story. This is a real life experience. And, just like we do on the Inside View, we share real life experiences. And not only that, we talk about other things like health issues and many more. But tonight, particularly, we are going to talk about widowhood. We don't tend to have such discussions, but it's part of life. I'll say that becoming widowed at any age is devastating, whether young, middle-aged, or old. No one plans for it, but hey, it's part of life. This discussion, I'll say that it's a common event that has powerful implications, for the person involved and also for the society at large. Tonight, I have a wonderful lady here who is widowed, and she's here to share her experience by, on how she single-handedly raised her 6 children. I'll say that women all over the world, particularly in Africa, we suffer a lot of predicaments when husbands die. And some of the predicaments, like amongst many problems, include shaving of the hair of the woman. And sometimes women in certain cultures are not even allowed to own their husbands' property or land or any other inheritance left for the wife and children. In certain cultures too, women are also, made to drink the remains of the water, that's used to bath the husband's corpse. That's so terrible. In certain cultures too, women are not even allowed to bath, and even if they are, it could be once in a day. They are not even allowed to clean the environment. Many absurd things, and this can go on and on. So tonight's discussion, we are going to explore what can be done to we need to start talking about all these things, because this can't go on and on. I'll say forever. And I have with me here Mrs Chebe Relyn, who will be talking to us about her experience of widowhood. Honestly, she's written 4 books out of her experience. And today we're just going to talk about No Crown, No Cross, No Crown. And that talks about widowhood. So, Mommy, welcome to the Inside View.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you too. In spite of your busy schedule, you're all the way from America. You just came on a visit, and to share your life story with us, I'll say thank you so much. And Winnie and Uncle Augustine, thank you so much for bringing Mummy on the Inside View to share her story with the whole world on the widowhood. Thank you so much. In order not to waste time, we'll go straight into today's discussion. Mummy, we are here to talk about one of your books that talks about widowhood. No cross, no crown.
Okay.
Yes. We just want you, we know that you are a retired teacher and also an author. Apart from that, if there's anything that you want the whole world to know about you, the floor is yours. Who is Mrs. Chebe Relyn? Please, yeah.
Mrs. Chebe is a Cameroonian. now settled in US because of the war that is taking place in Cameroon.
Okay.
I'm in America with one of my daughters, and I decided my children here, I have 3 children in UK.
Oh,
They
wow.
decided to invite me to
Wow.
spend the time. That already brings that topic, no cross, no crown.
Wow.
It shows that now I'm putting my crown.
Wow, mommy.
I am a writer. I've written 4 books.
Yeah.
The first book is Widowhood,
Yeah.
captioned No Cross, No Crown.
Mhm.
Then the second book is Single Parenthood. The third book is Family Restoration. And
Wow.
the fourth book is Spiritual Restoration. All these books are connected. Um, well, I am a widow, and I was a widow from um, when I was 34 years old.
34.
34 years old, I became a widow with 6 children.
Wow. Wow. So, mommy, this let's we just want to take a little bit of information from you. At that time, how was marriage life like? Because then, that will help us to go into how widowhood, is also, I would say that, has also been for you. So for you, when you got married, how was marriage life for you?
I was privileged to have a wonderful husband.
Good.
Marriage was sweet, and my husband treated me with care. We shared our belongings, our plans, and everything of us together. Sometimes, in a way, we disagree to agree.
Yes. I mean, that's obviously in every marriage, yeah.
I had friends. My husband's friends welcomed me in such a way that I thought I was in heaven.
Wow.
My in laws treated me with love and care. And as a pastor's wife, the church treated me with love and care.
Wow.
I had all the prestige I needed. We had all that we needed to live as husband and wife. Life was easy. Life was good. There was peace. There was unity. Marriage is a good thing.
Wonderful.
And I was fortunate to test it.
Wow.
The, but as time went on, death came in and reduced the enjoyment.
Mm. Wow. Wow.
Life
So,
became bitter.
mm, wow. So now, you've been married. Then at the age of 34, your husband suddenly leaves you, with
Yes,
6 children.
right.
Now we want to go straight into that narrative. How was it like? I mean, we just want to know your widowhood life to date. How was it like initially? How was it? Because we want to know how it feels. Because obviously we see, the sorrow and everything. But then until you experience it, or until somebody who has experienced it tells you, you have no clue as to what it is. So if you can actually tell us that initial shock to your system, please. Yeah.
My husband just died a surprise death.
Oh,
It was so abrupt.
so he wasn't sick or anything.
He was
He.
not sick. We
Oh.
went to Bafoot for my last son's baptism.
Mhm.
I went now to the market, bought things. My relatives from Guzang, I don't come from Bafut. So it was going to be a big occasion.
Mhm.
I came, he ate. It was not up to 30 minutes. He just told me, Relyn, take me to the hospital, otherwise I will die in the house.
Whoa.
That was embarrassing. That's somebody who never gets sick. And when he gets even fever, you see nurses rushing to the house to give him he never. But at this time, I just told my brother-in-law, please let us rush him to the hospital. When we rushed him to the hospital, on opening the door for him to come out, he told me not to open the door. He prayed alone because he saw that I was already off. After praying alone, he asked me to open the door. We took him to the hospital. We took him to the ward. He was administered, some drugs were administered to him. And he just told me, please go to the house and meet those guests. And after the baptism, come and meet me. My dear sister, as I went, it was not 1 hour, not up to 1 hour. They knocked at my door and said, Mommy, Pa is dead.
Just like that.
That is how he died. I came out at night. I was trekking. Instead of going to the hospital, I was trekking to Bamenda. They called me, already off. That is how it happened. And I started experiencing the bitterness. My brother-in-laws who worshipped me, who respected me, I saw them just going away. The friends, immediately after the burial, my daughter, my dear one, no friend came. Everybody ran.
Hmm.
And as time went on, my sister wanted to inflict pain on my son. Said, your father cannot die, and then you are moving with shoes. I said, stop, madam. My children have lost their father. No pain should be inflicted on them any longer. First of all, that is not the tradition of the place. That at least reduced the pain. But I saw nobody. Mommy, I was abandoned.
Wow.
I was abandoned. Besides that, after some time, because they saw that my husband was still young, he had not kept anything. But they knew that my husband had a bank book. The brothers came and said, oh, our brother had a bank book. Can we receive that book?
Mm.
We want to take that book. With all the tortures, all the fears in a strange land, I just thought, well, let me give the book. After all, they cannot withdraw anything from the book,
Mhm.
and later on they will bring the book to me. My dear sister, I want to tell you that till today, I don't know where the bank book is. It means that they have not withdrawn and they don't want me to withdraw. I just kept quiet.
Wow.
I went to the phone even to beg for land because I don't come from Bafura. I said, Papa, where will I settle with the children? The phone gave me a piece of plot to settle with the children. My brother-in-law came to collect the plot.
Whoa.
I went
Mommy,
straight.
I like, if I can just ask you something before you go on. What is the culture like? Um, like in Cameroon, when someone dies, because that will help us, to understand your story very much. When a husband dies in Cameroon, what is the culture that women needs to follow?
In Cameroon, we have many different cultures.
Mhm.
In Bafut, we don't have any culture laid down for
Okay.
widows. But individuals who are wicked, they will do everything to inflict pains.
Okay, that's fine.
In some tribes, when a man dies, the first thing is they take the woman to a corner in the parlor or in the room, and the woman sits on the stool. The stool, on that stool, only the leaf of a plantain is placed on the stool for the woman to sit on. And nobody dares to go there to greet her. She is not supposed to put on shoes.
Hmm.
She is not supposed to eat with others. At first, they used to put the widow's food on a leaf. But now, at least they present the widow's food in a plate that no other person should eat in. It means that widows are now like leprosy people.
Wow.
Then at night, the widow is expected to sleep on a mat on the floor, not on the bed, mat on the floor. Except the family is too rich and kind, they will remove the mattress, put on the floor for the widow to 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 sleep on. The widow is not even expected to take any bath until that tradition is over. And when that tradition is over, the widow is taken to the stream, and early in the morning, and a cold bath is given to the widow. After that, the widow is brought back to the house. Within that time, it's till the celebration is done. Within that time, to have sex within that time is an abomination. And any woman who has sex within that time gets mad.
Whoa.
So when I got that information, when I did that research,
Mhm.
I said, is this witchcraft or why? What happened? I had no definite answer. But to my greatest surprise, widowers are not treated as such. When the wife dies, immediately after the burial, a woman is brought to that man to keep him company. You now see the irony in life.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is what happens.
Wow.
And immediately the man dies, the property of that man is collected, because they know that, according to tradition, they know that women are property,
Hmm.
and property cannot own property.
Oh,
So the property is collected. And sometimes the will of the man, if he says you should get married to that man, to the brother, the man collects you, but the property is his.
okay. So
That
now,
is how,
this is getting
yes.
worrying now, because I mean, if anybody is listening, kindly share, invite people to listen to this conversation, because even if it's not for you, It might be for your daughter, it might be for your auntie, it might be for maybe your mother. So we are just educating the public, and we owe this to our daughters. Please, we owe this to our daughters. We might
Yes.
think that okay, we are living abroad, so we are cool, but trust me, there are now intermarriages, marrying from different cultures and stuff like that. And you might never ever know what your daughter might get herself
Yeah.
into or involved in. So this is just an enlightenment. We are just educating so that we have this at the back of our minds. And we make sure that in case such a thing happen, we will know how to advise our daughters against some of these things. And I'm so glad, mommy, you are here to throw more light on all these I wouldn't say archaic, but it's so disturbing cultures. So now you've gone through all these traditional I'll say cleansing or whatever it is called, and now they've taken everything, your bank book, everything away from you. Now you've bought a land. How did you manage to look after these children alone with no support? No support from the church, no support from the government, no support from society, no support from the family. At that time, were you working? I mean, how was it like? And yes, just throw light on it for us, please.
Yes, I'm a teacher by profession.
Okay.
And as a pastor's wife, the church gave me some assistance.
Okay.
Because pastors' children in secondary schools have 50% bonus from the church.
Mm-hmm.
So there I was, at least the church paid 50% of what I spent on the children in secondary schools. After secondary school, it was my business. Secondly, I had to work farms.
Wow.
In order that I should be able to feed them and give some out to have some monies.
Wow.
So sometimes I went to my school with my hoe and cutlass, and one day my principal invited me in the office. I said, Madam, what is wrong with you? When coming to school, you are carrying a hoe and a cutlass. After school, you are going to the farm. What is all this? The man asked. I saw that he was really bitter because he saw how I was training. I said, if I answer this man, it will not be good. I just waited. Then I told the principal, you cannot understand. And I left. Sometimes I took loans from credit union and I paid the loans. Sometimes I took advance salary as loans. Sometimes I paid for 6 years gradually. And that is how I managed, with loans and with my meager salary.
Wow.
Above all, I give glory to God. I give glory to God. God manifested. The children did well in school. Wow. The children cooperated with me and managed the little that I gave them. And there is no place that they go and they come without her. I had a daughter in a caste complex. The daughter, the medical doctor in US, Dr. Lizzie, she resembles me very well. And whenever they say, you resemble Machebe, he said, yes. After the years, the person is putting the hand in the pocket to help. Sometimes they went to a friend, and then the friend will take them to the farm. They will harvest food and come and eat. They managed. The children cooperated with me. And that is why I'm blessed.
Wow. So at
That
that
is how
time,
I managed it on. That
hmm,
is how I managed it on.
we give God all the glory for,
We give God the
yes, for having these understanding
yeah.
kids, because we have a lot of, mothers who will tell you, in spite of my challenges, my children also added, like a lot of, sorrow, added, so much stress, on. For you at that time, how old was your eldest, and how young was your?
Uh, the eldest was 16 years,
Mhm.
and the youngest was 8 months.
Whoa, 8 months.
Yes, it was not easy. When I talk and laugh, I just flash back and say, God, you have done it for me.
So for the 8 months, this one it's 8 months and farming, how and teaching. How were you combining both? I don't know. I'm speechless now.
I just sometimes I took the child to school. Sometimes I had a helper.
Wow,
That's how
wow,
I managed it.
wow.
My mother, my mother could not stay with me because my mother's uh, money was more than mine. Her own pain. I could not cope with my mother's pain because my mother said, widowed the second time, my mother was a widow. So when I got married, my husband being so good and kind, my mother just gripped him. And when my husband died, he said, widow the second time. So whenever she came to visit me, she went back with pain. So I could not manage her.
This is wow. 8 months and 16 years. So you were, at that time you were dealing with, teenage children with their own shenanigans, and also you
Yeah,
have a baby also to
yeah,
look after. And then here you are, you know,
we thank
raised
God.
6 children. And these are not just ordinary children, these are all 6 successful children.
Yes.
I'm not surprised that you've written this book, No Cross,
No,
No Crown.
that is it.
That is. It summarizes your
Yes.
whole experience. It summarizes
Yes.
experience. Already, people are commenting here. This one, from my own sister Naomi Asani saying God is faithful indeed. And I've got Sheila Asante also saying you are a warrior in and out. Your spirit is strong. Thank you for your hard work on behalf of your children. And I've got, Christina Ninsing saying wow. And I've got Christiana also saying good discussion. And I've got your daughter, Winnie, also saying thank you, Nana. And so please keep sending in your comments. If you have any question for Mummy Chebe, I think she'll be more than welcome to answer all your maybe questions here for you. Mummy, now we've seen how you've struggled to look after your children. The church supported. What about your family? And also the not your husband's family, but your own family. There wasn't any support at all.
My family had the youngest people. They were still struggling. I
Okay.
was the elder.
Oh.
I was the elder. And one of my sisters, whom my husband also raised, helped once in a while to give their pocket monies and so on.
Wow. So now
Yeah.
we see how beautiful your life is. You've gone through the mill, you've raised six giants who are now doing amazingly well, as we can all tell from your conversation. One is a doctor, and three are here who have just invited you, to come and spend the summer holidays here. And we do commend your children for remembering your struggles,
Yes.
because we have a lot of ungrateful children. Trust me, mommy. We have
Yes.
a lot of mothers that will say, I single-handedly looked after these children, but these children, don't even, remember what I've done for them. So I am so happy that you talk about your children with so much happiness.
Yes.
Yes, I'll see, like a mating from your heart, and also the look on your face tells how grateful you are,
Yes.
to have these children. Now moving on, from the pain till now, why do you think it's so important, for us to discuss, the grief the widows or widowers go through?
This book that I have written
Mm-hmm,
is not meant for widows alone. It's meant for the husband
mm-hmm,
and the wife when they get married. It's meant for parents who give birth to children, daughters. It's meant for the society, the
mm-hmm.
government, the church,
Yeah.
so that when they read this book and share my experiences,
Mm-hmm.
the pain of the widow will be reduced.
Okay.
The widow herself will know how to cope with grief and how to manage herself and the children during grief. Because sometimes it's ignorance
Okay.
that make us to get into pain. And
Mm.
when all of us cooperate, you see the pain of a widow is reduced. It cannot be completely removed.
Okay.
It
So
will
from your
only
own
be removed.
experience, mommy, from all your experience, how can the pain or the sorrow of like of widows, be reduced? How can it be reduced? From the
First,
church's side, from the government side, what can we do to lessen, the sorrow or the burden, of a widow? What can we do?
first, with
Uh-huh.
the church is doing its best according to what I have experienced. The church is organizing seminars to educate the widows on what to do. They bring them together. Sometimes they share their experiences and they go back well educated.
Okay.
The church, um, some churches like a PC Agati Bafut,
Mm-hmm.
they have a widows uh, come together whereby the pastor brings them once in a month. They talk together, they share their difficulties, and the congregation contribute monies once in a while to share to the widows. Even myself, as I've come here, I've told some of my children, they have sent money there to the pastor to
Mm-hmm.
see how they can add the money and help those widows. Second, with the government is trying, is also organizing seminars, and they have also cancelled that fact that women are properties.
Okay.
How have they cancelled it? They have educated couples to make marriage certificates so that when the in-law comes
Mm-hmm.
to to give some torment, she should take the marriage certificate to the government and the government will back them.
Mm.
Then the government has also gone far to give the right. They have made a law that immediately the man dies, the next of kings is the wife.
Okay.
But at first, it was not like that. People will crumble, and then say the woman is a property, and property cannot own property. So government is uh, the tradition, the society that is uh, inflicting pain. But now we are struggling to see whether the widows can come together and even cry to the tradition to reduce those pains.
Wow.
And I will also advise women to cooperate, to love each other. Because you see, the widowers, they are treated well. And see, the widows, they are treated poorly. And that treatment is followed up by women, either the old widows or old women. So we need women to come together to love, so that our children should not meet this type of thing. Then I have also written in my book how to cope with grief.
Yeah.
Because if you don't cope with grief, you will die. Many have died because they are not able to cope with grief. And what have if you can excuse me to open up.
Oh, sure, sure.
Coping with grief, first, a widow should accept that death is a reality.
Good.
Because it took me some time to accept that my husband is dead. Until one mother just said, "Mommy, Papa no will come again. Stop expecting him." To me, I did not believe that my husband can die. And so when I finally accepted, I let go. I said, okay, bygones, let me move ahead.
Mhm.
Now, if you accept that as reality,
Mhm.
it means that when your husband dies, you who is alive must continue the journey. Life must continue. To cope with grief is you don't seek for self-pity.
Mm.
If anybody comes around you, you start crying. Somebody comes to comfort, you start crying. And very soon, you'll be mocked. And you'll be given a name, the beggar. And some people will say, is she the first to be a widow? And when you get that, that pricks you to your soul. So the best thing is, when you are grieved, go into your room at a corner, cry as much as you want to cry. Cry. When you cry, come out. When you see your children, laugh, because you are carrying the grief of your children. You don't want your children to see that you are grieving. Otherwise, they will grieve and it will be terrible. That is how you cope. Don't prove to your children that you are not capable. Grieve, but avoid self-pity.
Yeah.
The next thing is, when you are grieving, pray. Be prayerful.
Mm.
Because God has said he is the husband to widows,
Yeah.
and the father to the fatherless, and the God to the needy. God is faithful. And when you hold him,
Mhm.
he will not abandon you. I'm talking out of experience.
Yeah.
Pray often. Read your Bible. From those words in the Bible, take the words and give to God and say, Papa, this is what you have said. Favor me and apply what you have said in my life.
Mm.
And my Bible quotation was Psalm 91, which my children too have taken it up. When you read, pray often. Coping again with grief, you have to work.
Mm.
When you work, your mind comes out from grieving, because the Bible says Satan gives work for idle hands,
Yeah.
and then idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Mm.
So when you work, you occupy yourself. And again, from the work, you'll be able to bring something. Because the Lord says, bring the labor of your hands, I will bless. You cannot go to God for blessing with an empty hand.
Mm.
So with this, I had to study again. I went back, I did correspondences
Wow.
in order that my salary package can be improved. And again, I occupy myself. Then one of the things I have discussed is, when you grieve, don't intrude into people's houses. Grieve in your house. Stay in your house. Because when you start going out, you will gossip, and the bullets will come, which you will not be able to grip the bullet. The man who used to take your bullets is no more. So to avoid bullets, stay in your house. But go to people when they are in need, like sick. When they are sick, go there and pray. When they lack food, with their work, with the hands, the work of your hands, you can give some small food. At that time, you are doing it in fulfillment to God's instruction.
Yeah.
You are not doing it for cheap popularity. Widows should avoid cheap popularity, because it does not last, my sister. It does not last. It brings pain. And what I will also talk about this grieving is, young widows like myself,
Mhm.
when we talk about sex and remarriage, we can't go without talking about it in widowhood,
Yeah.
sex and remarriage, because that is one of the troubles with widowhood. When you are young and your children are young, suppress that sex issue and suppress that remarriage issue. Concentrate on your children.
Any,
Because,
like any particular reason? Any particular reason for that?
sorry,
Is there any particular reason for that? Because as
yes,
as
I'm coming to it.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you suppress it, you will concentrate on your children. And if you don't suppress it, men will come to exploit.
Okay.
And you will want the time you would have spent with your children, you want to satisfy the man to maintain him.
Mm.
And sometimes some men come to grab, not even to help. So men, like for example, in Bafut, I learned that one widow was deceived by a man to go and take a loan that he will pay. It was a boyfriend. She went and took heavy loan, and that man did not pay the loan. She's now suffering with children and suffering to pay loans taken by a boyfriend. So suppress it and take care of your children. When you take care of your children watch. They watch. And when you abandon them, they watch even if they cannot say it. And when it comes to the time of having a crown, the children bring more thorns on you.
Yeah.
Because they see what you have worked and what you have done. And for all widows, I advise all widows with mature children that ask yourself, will I cope with the new title? Will I cope with the new home? Will my grandchildren be welcome in that home when they come to visit me? Will my children be welcome when they come to visit? Ask those questions. And say, well, now if I marry this man and this man dies again, where do I go? Because in that second home, you cannot have children. Examine those things. After all examination, invite your children together and express your difficulties. Your children will give you the right answer. And your children will know the pain you are going through, and they will stand by you, and they will help you.
Wow.
So, when you are grieving, grieve with care and observe these little few things that I have said. When you read the book, you get more. That is coping with grief. Coping with grief.
Wow. So what's God's concern, or what's God's mind for widows?
God's mind for widows is perfect. Is perfect because he has said he is the husband. And he can only claim you, the widow, who accepts him, God, to be your husband. But if you go on looking for other husbands and you don't seek him, he will not take care of you. But if you seek him and surrender yourself to him, he will fulfill his promise. God is faithful.
Wow. That's a bold statement to make. Wow. It can only come from you that God is faithful, and God is the husband to all widows, all widowers. That's so profound. That's so profound. So, you've talked about the church's treatment, and also the community and the government. Your experience, especially with the grieving, in Africa, is slightly different to some of us here in the Western world. And you are so privileged to have lived in both worlds. So your experience in Cameroon and your experience in America, because here we are more
Libra.
Yes, liberal, and also we are more. I mean, nobody cares about also like one another. It's just up to you alone. So it's like you can be living in a community where maybe the next person that might be living about an hour's drive, or let's say 30 minutes drive away from you. And sometimes it can be very, very lonely and very, very difficult for you. So what kind of advice can you give to all of us listening? Because most of us are in abroad, and we are actually listening to use. So I mean, in Africa, it's easier because grandmother passed by, uncle passed by, but here, it's a bit difficult. What kind of advice can you give to all of us living in the diaspora, watching you at the moment?
What I can say is, first, trust God. Be committed to God.
Mm.
And if you are committed to God, you'll be committed to church.
Mm.
And there in church, you will have Christian brothers and sisters.
Mm.
You will not be lonely.
Mommy, please, can I tell you something? Just move back a bit so that we can see you centered in the camera. Yes, yes, better, better. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah.
So, as for me, I would suggest that the, the widows here, it makes no difference
Okay.
if you commit yourself to God.
Mm-hmm.
Commit yourself to God and to the church. There you will have your brothers and sisters who will not abandon you.
Okay.
And like the place in US, we have good neighbors. We have good neighbors. You can visit them and they can visit us. They can greet sometimes, and on some bad days, they will not greet.
Yeah, I know.
And yes, those are the bad days. But I feel that the best thing is to be committed to God and the church. The church will be your brothers, will be your sister. The pastor will be your father, your mother, and things will be fine.
Wow.
With your neighbors, if you are not a nagging widow, a widow who wants to for self-pity, or either are not ready to accept the changes, that is where you have problem. But if you accept the changes in you, you take away the complex, and then you join your brothers and sisters, especially in this place in abroad. Or people are so busy that they don't have consent for each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
That is the problem.
Mm.
But if you are with your neighbors and you feel you share the fellowship once in a while, the most important thing, join God's children.
Wonderful. Great. I mean, in your case, you were a teacher, so you had, even though it wasn't, the income wasn't that great, at least you were working, so you could have a constant income. Now we want you to advise women who, for some reason, who think it's the husband's duty just to be looking after them. They don't want to work, or even if, I don't know, sometimes they're not also, like in a position to work. But in your case, you had 6 children, 16 and 8 months. So if you were not working, it would have been even extremely difficult. We
Yes.
want you to advise women on maybe how to empower ourselves financially, and also advice to maybe on how we raise our girl children,
Hmm.
and also advice to husbands in a way, just also empower wives also to do something, so that in case the predicament actually happens, the impact might be less felt. Yeah.
Yes, in my book, I've suggested that to reduce the pain in widowhood. The husband, when you get married, empower your wife. Don't keep your wife to be a consumer.
Mm.
Because when the wife consumes and you are the worker, when you are not, she will have nothing to consume.
Okay.
Empower your wife so that in your absence, she will just continue. Make your wife to be responsible. If she is not educated, she cannot go to school, open a business place. Let her be doing something so that life can continue in your absence.
Mhm.
Then I have suggested that parents should educate their female children, encourage them to go to school, have a job before even they get married,
Mm.
because your education can never be taken from you,
Yeah.
property can be taken from you, your job cannot be taken away from you. So if you have your job and your certificates, they are your permanent property.
Yeah.
For that, in that case, I've also said, educating a woman is educating the nation,
Mm.
but educating a man is educating a single person.
Mm.
So it is good to educate the female um, daughters. Let me tell you a story. When my husband died, she my daughter, the one here, was always crying in PSS Mancon. She was not studying again. She gave up. Then my husband came in a dream to the sister
Mm.
and tell my daughter Grace that she should never get a husband without having had a job. She should go to school,
Mhm.
have a job before you get married. Marriage should be the last thing in her agenda.
Wow.
That was the dream. My sister-in-law took the dream, told me, I said, no, you were sent. Maybe if he sent me, my daughter would not have taken it serious. So my husband thought, no, my sister would do the job better. I
Mhm.
said, no, when she comes during holiday, do it, tell her. And that thing helped my daughter so much. When he wanted, I said, remember your father's instruction.
Mm.
And finally, when she was going to wait, when she was in Britain, she had completed everything. My husband came to her in a dream. Oh, my daughter welcomed him. I said, Papa, welcome. Do you know that I'm going to wait soon? He said, that is why I've come to congratulate you.
Wow.
Your wedding and your marriage will be wonderful. But I want to ask one thing, just to make her know that what her sister told her was true. The father asked, but have you started working?
Wow.
Have you started working? Then my daughter just remembered what the auntie told her and said, Daddy, yes, I've immediately after the wedding, I will go to my new job. He said, congratulations. And she got up from the dream.
Wow.
So that is all I can tell the parents, encourage the parents, encourage the husbands, and the girls themselves don't feel that, oh, there is everything that you can consume, everything at your disposal. There will be time those things will disappear.
Mm.
Fight for yourself.
Wow. Wow. So, mommy, how old are your children now?
uh, the one I am in his house right away is 47 years.
Wow.
The first is 50.
Whoa.
And the last is 34 years. The one who uh, was 8 months old.
Wow. You're so beautiful.
We
You are.
thank God.
And then, we've now agreed to your title, No Cross, No Crown.
Yes.
If anyone is watching us, Mrs Chebe Relyn has written 4 books. And today we are talking about widowhood, which is no cross, no crown. If the technical team can put it on the screen for me, I'll be so happy. Yes, this is Widowhood by Mrs. Relyn Chebe. No cross, no crown. No cross, no crown. It talks about widowhood and everything that she's spoken, to us about today is all in her book, How to Cope with Grief. Advice to parents, advice to women, advice to young girls out there, and what the church can do, to alleviate some of the burden, of widows, which she herself experienced from the church, and also from the community, and also from the government. Um, if you listened to her, she never received any support from the husband's family. Everything was basically taken away from her. But because, if you can please take the book away, yeah, Clarissa, if you can just, yes. But because, and also you take it off as well, because she herself was empowered in a way of, working herself, even though she did extra job in terms of farming and taking loans, the fact that she had her own certificate as a teacher that gave her that constant income really lessened the extra burden or problems that she faced. So tonight, we've learned a lot from this interview. And Mrs. Chebe Relyn, we are so proud of you to have raised 6 amazing children. To summarize your own book
Thank
that you've written, if there's anything that you want to tell, the public out there, maybe in your own words, before we end this interview, please.
I just want, first of all, to thank Mama Nana. I want to thank all those who are watching
Mhm.
and listening. I pray that this lesson will not fall on rocks, but will fall on a fertile ground.
Yeah.
That all of us from our various corners will put our hands together
Mm.
with the widows to make widowhood not a heavy cross to carry. I pray that all of us will remain steadfast. And I pray that all the widows, the crown is ahead of us.
Mm.
Let us not look back to what had passed. Let us face reality and face our crown. We are sure to have the crown. The crown is there waiting for us.
Wow. Thank you so much. Mommy, is there anything in the book that I didn't touch on? from our discussion? Is there anything from the book that I didn't touch before we end our discussion, please?
No, I think I have summarized all.
You've summarized everything. Good.
Yes, I've
I've done my
summarized.
job. I've got Senior Kweku Kobia says congratulations, Mom. Kweku,
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, and I've got Christiana Ninsen also saying, very true. If you're not careful and not concentrating on your children, you will end up being a bad mother.
Mother.
And I've
Yes.
got Kimby Theodora also saying thank you, Mom. Also saying wow and saying wonderful as well. And I've got your own niece, Winnie, also saying that, Mama, may the Lord continue to open your mind to write more books that will help us. That will help us. I think she meant
And the word.
that will help the world. This
Yes.
is your legacy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are so proud of you, Mommy. 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you.
So proud. So,
Thank
if you joined in a bit late, Mommy has written 4 books. Mommy, if you can actually mention the books again and where people can find them, I'll be so happy. Please, before I give the closing.
Yeah, I've written 4 books.
Okay.
Widowhood is the first. Single parenthood is the second. How to raise the children single-handedly, and you have the best of it. Then the third is family restoration,
Mm-hmm.
how family can be restored after all the torments.
Mm-hmm.
Then spiritual restoration.
Restoration. Okay. Thank you so much. I think our next discussion will be on single parenting, single parenthood, how you single-handedly raised these children. Because I didn't want to go into that. I mean, because I know you've written a book on that, so I didn't want to go ahead,
Yeah,
ahead of you, and also not to
yeah,
dwell too much because today's discussion is more of your experience. You know what I mean? So our next discussion will be on single parenthood. And
yeah.
on that one, you share your experience on how you single-handedly raise these 6 champions. I call them champions. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've come to the end of our discussion. Okay,
You
yes.
can you can have the books. Now I don't have the books in Amazon, but in
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks to
Okay.
come, you may have the books from Amazon, and
Okay.
you can even call the number 074
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. 074
00
00
20
20
77
77
07.
07.
That is my son's number, based in the UK.
Okay,
Then
mommy. I think
my own,
074, isn't it? 074
yes,
00
yes,
2770
no
07.
two, no 20.
Okay. So how many zeros there?
Um, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, so 5
Let me,
zeros.
yes, you 5074 00
Mm-hmm.
2
Mm-hmm.
0
Mm-hmm.
77
Okay.
07.
Okay. If you're in UK and you want to get a copy on Widowhood, that's No Cross, No Crown. The books will be available on Amazon, God willing, in 2 weeks' time. And also, in the meantime, if you want to get a copy, straight away, you can call this number 074 0020 7707. Yeah. And please, what's your son's name or your daughter's name?
Vigilus Chebe
Vigilous.
Vigilos. Yes, Chebe
Okay.
Vigilos
Okay. Chebe.
or Vigilos Chebe.
Okay. Vigilous. Okay. So you can contact Vigilous Chebe on 074 00207707. Yes. And yes, I think you should forward his bank details and then you can pay the money into it and then the books will be forwarded or
Yes,
posted to your
yes,
address. Alternatively, you can wait in 2 weeks' time, you can place your order and then Amazon will, our dear Amazon will bring it, like we just deliver it also as well. I mean, thank you so much for your time. But before we go, any widow out there, just like Mommy said, if you find yourself in this situation, just like she said, I'm just quoting her words,
yes.
accept that death is a
It's
reality,
reality. Yes.
is a reality.
Mhm.
And then you should avoid self-pity.
Pity. Yes.
Avoid self-pity. And also find something to do, work. Find a work to do. Work with your hands just to take your mind away
Yes.
from grieving, because it says an idle mind becomes the
The
devil's
devil's
workshop.
workshop.
And also be prayerful.
Yes.
Be prayerful and also spend time reading God's word. Be
Yes.
prayerful.
Yes.
Be prayerful. And also, he says, if you want to grieve, instead of just roaming around, pouring your grief on the whole neighborhood, your whatever it is, stay in your room, stay in your house
Yes.
and grieve. Because mind you, you are carrying your children's grief
Yes.
and your own grief. And
Yes.
because your children are depending on you for their strength, for their
Yes.
survival, and
Yes.
everything, make sure your children do not see you grieving.
Yes.
At least it's okay to cry. The crying is allowed, but not in front of the children.
Children. Yes.
Make sure if you want to scream, whatever you want to do, you can do it in your closet.
Mhm.
But because of the children, and it says, if you still want to marry, if you still want to have sex, that's fine, but not at the expense
Of the
of
children.
you raising your children.
Mhm.
You can remarry, yes, it's allowed, but if the children are matured enough, and she said that a time will come, that discussion will come from the children. The mommy, I think it's time for you to move on or maybe get somebody. But also that time, don't, because otherwise your attention, you're going to have a divided attention. And
Mhm.
depending on how your children respond to, it might
Mhm.
be a problem. So
Yeah.
concentrate on the children. Concentrate on the children. Yes, the ages, yes, I mean, it's a reality as well. But from mommy's words or advice, we can, you know, try and divert those edges into the energy of looking after these children. And also, I think the last one of these sayings, um, avoid cheap popularity. Avoid cheap popularity because that won't take you far. So thank you so much, Mommy. Thank you, Mrs. Chebe Relyn, for your time and also for your insight and also for sharing your experience, with the whole world. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I,
Thank you. And we also say thank you to your children for releasing you, to come and share your
yeah.
your experience because I know it wasn't too easy for you, but because I mean, I think it was just too much for you, especially trying to bring the whole experience back. It wasn't too easy, but I'll say that you've done a good job, and your son who invited you to the UK. So thank you so much. Thank you for making your mom proud of you. Um, you didn't put your mom to shame. You've actually made your mom a proud mom, and today we are all benefiting from her experience. And so thank you, all the 6 children. If you're online watching us, say thank you so much. Mommy, thank you for also not disappointing your children. You
We
also
thank God.
worked hard to raise these children single-handedly. And today, you are showing the whole world that your cross has now become your crown.
We are proud.
We are all benefiting
Yes.
from yes, from the discussion. Yes. I'm so proud of you. I think your son here is Vigilus is here and says top class discussion. Proud of you, mom. Proud of you, mom. We are proud of you. So take care, and until I hear from US, where we are going to have our next discussion, I'll say yes, safe journey and take good care of yourself. Mommy, bye bye. I love you.
Right.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Yeah.
God bless you. God bless
Bless
you.
you, mommy. God bless you. God
Thank
bless
you.
you.